Welcome to Read Between the Sultans. I'm Jenny, just in case you're first time tuning in.
And I'm Brandy. And last week we talked a little bit about who we are and why we started this podcast. And this week we are going to dive into women in business and the highs and lows of entrepreneurship and
what it takes to make it run.
What it takes, yeah. So, Jenny, what are some of your lows that you have felt and dealt with over the last several years in real estate?
I really think like the roller coaster of real estate can take a toll. You know, like 2008 was crazy. You know, it was like my first full year, and here we are, and like it was repo city.
Yeah.
You know? That's when I learned how to do short sales. You have to overcome everything. Like you can't, my deal is, you know, the news will hit us hard just like they're doing right now, and they're just pounding in people's heads, you know. Interest rates are bad. They're bad. They're bad. And I mean, when I bought my first house, it was 8.25.
Yeah.
So, and I understand the houses are more expensive now, but like, I think you have to overcome adversity by one, not listening to the media, because if they get into your head, it can ruin you.
Yeah.
You know, if you get in your own head, that was my thing, because I kept reading all these horrible things and I just knew I was going to fail, and things did change and things did get very scary, but find a new niche. That's what you have to do.
Absolutely. And I think you've got to be adaptable to your market, and your market can change more than once in a year. I mean, it truly can.
Yeah, with any business.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, real estate in general has its highs and lows throughout the year. It just kind of ripples, but like literally things can change on a dime. I mean, and you've got to just be able to adapt and pivot from when the media just makes it sound like, you know, the real estate market is just doomed. And it's real hard to overcome that because you hear it so much.
You see it, and they say it on Facebook, but you know, you have to, in your mind, you know that not everything you read on the internet is true. So I think that was my hardest thing to overcome, was just like the mindset. And even other agents that I would talk to, they'd be like, it's just so terrible. It's so terrible.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm like, you can't do that. Like, you can't have that mindset. You have to speak your things into existence.
I mean, I'm very guilty of having the negative mindset, especially when the market is not hot, about myself. And, you know, over the last couple of years, I've done a lot of, you know, trying to prepare my day and just think positive things in the beginning of the day, because it's so easy to get wrapped up in my phone's not ringing, I can't get anyone on the phone, you know, those kinds of things. But you have to push through because it's going to come.
You have to refocus.
So when I first started in real estate, I actually was on a team. And so I was on a couple of teams, but my very first team was at Keller Williams. And so your phone rang because the leads were being paid. They were going to your phone.
Right.
First one to answer it got the lead, you know, Johnny on the spot. And so I got really, really good at the cold answer kind of thing.
Right.
But, you know, everywhere you go, when you are a real estate agent, everywhere you go, they're going to ask you, so what's the market doing? So what are the rates today? So is it a good time to buy or sell? It doesn't matter where you go. That conversation exists. And you have to know that, you have to be able to answer it. And if you don't know the answer, you're not really working it hard.
I overcame a lot of my issues, though, honestly, when I began to not just know the real estate business itself, I began to listen very carefully to each person as they spoke. The other thing is, it was like a game of matchmaker for me.
No, I feel that.
Seriously, like with a lender, and like when a person comes to you and they tell you this and you're listening to them as they look at everything, I would play matchmaker with that lender.
Right.
And when I play matchmaker with that lender, I know that lender can take care of them because Bobby Sue told them they're a negative. They're not going to happen. But I know that.
That's right. And listen, if you are a first-time home buyer and you feel like that there's no way you can buy, don't. It's not true. You can do it. And it may take you some time, but if you get the right agent who can direct you to the right lender, if you have a mess, it can be cleaned.
I mean, it can. Right.
Yeah.
You're going to go through swipe right.
And so
you have to, that's how I had to overcome it. I had to learn everything else in my industry. I think that's the biggest fault that women do in this industry is they don't learn the lending side. They don't learn the title side. They don't know how to overcome adversity.
Right.
So did you ever feel like doubted in this business, like when you first started?
Absolutely. I doubted it 100 times a day. Like, but my very first sale was a couple who it was a cold lead call that came in. They wanted to lease a property because they were marrying. They both had family kids from previous marriages. So they were like needing more room. And the house that they lived in didn't accommodate everyone. They loved that house. They wanted to add on to that house, and that remodel was going to take a year. So they wanted me to find them a lease property that would hold all the kids while they did the renovation. And so I, being new, I went out ahead and was looking, and I found a house that had been on the market for a while and, was like, hey, I know that could they lease it? And then,
Right.
and so when we walked in that house, they fell in love with it and they were like, we don't want to remodel. And that was a $675,000 cash sale
Nice.
for my very first transaction 2 months post license.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I doubted. I was like, I never would have dreamed that would have been my first one. Our average sales price in our area is like what, 235, 250. Right. So for that to be my very first sale,
that's pretty impressive.
Was very impressive. And so that gave me a huge boost to go towards, there is nothing that will boost your confidence like a good deal.
Exactly. I didn't have a whole lot of self-confidence coming out of a rough marriage. So I remember, like, I got this call off of phone duty. At this point in time, my cousin was a builder, and, like, they wanted, like, a specific house that didn't exist. So I was doubting myself, but my family always, like, cheered me on. I'm talking every ounce of my family, somebody. Like, literally, and it prepared me so much to, like, now I can do custom builds in my sleep. People call me to ask for help for new constructions because, like, I've been represented the same builder since 2007.
Yeah, which is very unusual.
Yes, it is very unusual.
Jenny, like, through all the highs and lows of everything, like, what has kept you going in your business?
So, as everybody knows, in like 2006, 2007, my life totally fell apart. My ex-husband and I decided, at that point we were still married, I decided we were going to go separate ways because of life choices. And I never dreamed of myself being in that predicament. And I had these two little beautiful babies that just depended on me for everything. I quit. Everything was ripped out from under me. Like, I'm sitting here staying in a single wide trailer that sold my house that I had and everything established, and I'm staying in a single wide trailer that my grandmother is managing for a family friend of ours, this whole trailer park. So my children are so used to this lifestyle, and I didn't want anything. And I told myself, how did you get yourself in this predicament to where everything you solely depended on was on him? Why? Like, why did you do that? You were smart. You were this, and that's when I knew that I had to keep going. And that anger that I had with him kept me going.
Yeah.
That anger turned into forgiveness because as I got better and better at what I did, that anger turned into forgiveness, and it made me more feel sorry for him.
Well, when you get to that point and you get past the anger and you get to the forgiveness, then you appreciate the lessons that you learned because you realize that you are way better off today than you were then.
Exactly. And I felt, it was like I felt God pick me up and say, put your head up and walk forward.
Yeah.
You've got to put one foot in front of the other every single day, and do not ever depend on anybody but yourself. And, always face obstacles with, positivity and just stuff like that, because I felt like I was in such a bad place at that time in my life.
When I divorced, my kids were older, and so it was a little different. I had a lot of time by myself that I never had before.
Yeah.
And so then I made decisions because I didn't want to be alone. I didn't like being alone. That affected my business in a negative way. And so what I have learned from that is that I can't let that dictate. I still have to get up every day and go to work because
that's the deal. Like, you can't let your emotions dictate.
And for a long time, I feel like I lagged in business because of that. It truly negatively impacted my business.
I had a fault to that too. So a part of that did become a fault too, because I poured myself so deeply in my business.
Yeah.
Because I already felt like a failure in marriage.
Right.
That I didn't want to feel like a
Failure in business.
that
Yeah.
I put too much into it to be.
I can see that. So if I was talking to myself even 5 years ago, today, the person 5 years ago was, in depression and angry that my marriage didn't work out because I felt like I did what I was supposed to do. Why didn't it work?
Yeah, same.
I would tell myself not to self-loathe. I really did. And I know that's horrible. I've had to apologize to my girls for that, honest, reflection. But my girls are very proud of me now.
Right.
And I'm very thankful for that. They see that I have overcome a whole lot. And it was by the grace of God. But honestly, it was, okay, girl, pull your big girl panties up.
Yeah.
You got stuff to do. You were made to be a boss. Let's get it done.
If I had to give a piece of advice, always be around like-minded
Yes.
people. If you're around pessimistic people, you tend to be
Pessimistic, yeah.
If you're around people who say, I can't, then guess what? You can't.
Yeah.
But I have always tried to surround myself, even if it's not in real estate.
Yeah. Who you spend your time with, whether it's at work or home or wherever you are, whoever you spend your time with, you become a part of that. Are you around people who are going to push you to be your best and help you to be successful?
Right.
Or are you around the woe is me?
Right.
If you're around the woe is me, you're not going nowhere.
No. And that's another thing that I've noticed too, is like when God would push me to change, like changing brokerages, I'm not good with change.
Yeah.
I'm not. Like, I'm the type of person where, like, I don't want to change out my signs. I don't feel like doing that.
Yeah.
And in my mind, it stays there, and I get kind of so stuck that God would push me, and He's like, hey, this one's calling your name, and these are your people. These are your, and He's pushed me to those people, like, and you can ask my second broker. He will tell you it took me forever in him talking to me, but it took one certain woman that we work with now, brokers. So the other one, she's the one who got me to change. Finally, I knew in my heart, if that woman could be with a brokerage for 30 years and then change, then I can too.
Yeah.
In just 12 years. So I think, sometimes you need a refresher of who you're around and stuff. And it's nothing against the other person, because
No, absolutely. We loved, yeah.
And I learned something and took something from every single brokerage that I was at.
That's good. Yeah.
I'm surrounded by like-minded people.
Yeah.
Who we can teach each other more things, and like we learn something every day.
We do. And the respect level is here that you don't feel like you're fighting for the top.
Right.
You don't feel, it feels like an even playing field, which makes a huge difference. Like if you're really competitive, so real estate can be very competitive. People want to do business with you. It doesn't really matter where you hang your hat, what brokerage you hang your hat on. They're buying into who you are,
right?
And it can get really competitive, and there's different brokerages that'll have the awards, the accolades.
Boost your confidence.
But at the end of the day, business is business. I don't need a trophy.
No.
Because I did my job.
I know I threw all mine away. I know that sounds terrible, but I had so many. They would give trophies for everything.
Yeah.
Like, you brought up 10%. Okay, thanks. To me, where my trouble lied in with that, and this sounds crazy, it got to the point where I felt like it put a dagger, like a target right on my chest that said, look at me. And I didn't like that, because I felt like I had more people hate me because of what I did and not just be happy for me. I lost friends by success in certain areas, and I hated that. And I never wanted people, but people don't know how much money I gave up for that, and people don't know how much I did to get there. So that's what hurt, is that dagger. And I mean, and yes, I built my building blocks back up by the haters, but I will say, the more successful you are and the more trophies and accolades that they pass out, the more people hate you. And I think some people thrive on that, but I'm not that. Look at me, I'm Sandra D. I'm not that. I'm not going to do that. I don't want you to look at me. I just want to do my job, and you leave me alone.
Yeah,
And I remember another agent had posted, Real Trends had come out, and it's Real Trends of the top agents in certain areas. And they posted on Facebook, and they tagged me. And I was like, what does that mean? I didn't even know what that meant.
Yeah.
And then the broker I had at that time pulled me aside and he said, you realize that you're number 9 in this entire area out of 1,200 agents. And I was like,
Yeah.
what? What do you mean? Like, it didn't even comprehend to me. Good. I will say this, that did put something in me that, like, every time I didn't get in that top, I felt like I was a failure again. I'm very competitive, and I'm not competitive with people.
Yeah.
I'm competitive with myself. Like, I beat myself up.
When you're burnout and you're just like, oh, I got to do this. Let me do that. Like, you're just so over it and you're so over every day and you just don't even want your phone to ring.
Yeah.
And then when it does ring, you're just like, you're not your 100% self.
Yeah.
You know, that's when you're in burnout.
Yeah.
That's what's happening. Yeah. And so I feel like I was there and didn't even realize I was there. And then my business just got funny. I think that that's very important. I think our mental health is super, super important in this business.
Building a business isn't just about, creating stuff for other people. It's
Right.
building yourself. Like, it's
Absolutely.
a building block for life. So.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that we have to always grow. And if we don't grow, then your business isn't going to grow. And so I just started that this year.
You have a great coach.
I have a great coach through Buffini and Company. I highly, highly recommend them. And everything has to work right, to work together harmoniously. And in that, you can be successful all the way.
Yeah.
It's kind of like your car. If your car's not tuned up,
yeah,
your air conditioner may work, but if your transmission's slipping, you know what I mean? You're not going to go far down. So what happens when you get burnout? How do you refocus?
It gets quick because I cannot actually just go sit down and reset my mind because then I feel like I'm being lazy and I have a guilt trip, which is, I know it's a sickness. Seriously. I plan a vacation and I go on vacation and I will reset. And I completely reset. And I mean, look, when I'm on vacation, I answer my phone. I'm not near as angry.
Yeah.
Because I'm not looking at the same stuff that I look at every day. My burnout isn't technically it's normally when I have a really, really hard one to close.
Yeah.
And I've been working on it for a long time because I'm going to get it to that finish line.
Right.
So.
No, I have witnessed you get frustrated because it's not coming together like it's supposed to. Yeah. And so that gets frustrating. But, we have to be chameleons in this business. Well, and I think women in business general have to be chameleons because you have to really be able to know how to communicate with all types of personalities, Absolutely. All works
somewhere.
That's right.
Remember to stay positive on yourself, stay true to yourself, keep pushing forward. Remember the highs and lows as you go through everything. The lows are going to teach you something and the highs are going to feel great. But keep going forward.
Keep pushing. That's right. Thanks for listening, guys, and we'll catch you on the next episode. We're going to dive into another inspiring story, fresh perspectives, and practical insights.
You don't want to miss it. See you next time.